Hey guys, welcome back to Top TCG, Team Overpowered TCG. We're going to be doing a kid deck profile today. This is actually my main deck. I'm probably going to take this to, Treasure Cup and whatnot. So this deck is really strong because it plays into almost every deck pretty well. It has a lot of outs and ins because of the leader ability. Kid is able to attach all of his Dawn as long as you save 3, so 7 Dawn, and he can swing for 12 twice, and you just trash a card. Really strong ability, which is why he's played. He's actually, I believe, tier 1 right now with him with Red Green Law. See a lot of blue players as well, and this deck honestly just demolishes every deck, so well, that's what I believe. So I'm gonna show you guys the list here, and let me know in the comments, if you think that anything should be changed. I am tinkering with the deck still. Without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So first off, I run 4 of the Searcher Bonnie to look out for 8-cost Kid and just Laws, because those cards are really important in this deck. And then I also run the 1-cost Kozuki Momonosuke, and he's going to be searching out like 2k counters, Nekomamashi if you need to rest something, and also my Yamato, which I believe is just the crazy carry in this particular deck. Then I run the 4 Capone, oh, these are all at 4, by the way, guys. So I run 4 Capone just because, one cost blocker that's really broken in this deck. I'll explain why here in a second. But basically, this card's crazy. You want to run 4. I wish there were more 1-cost blockers. I would run them all 1-cost blocks. Very good. So we're going to start getting into some of the counter cards I have in this deck. I have this Scratchman Apu. So he is a 2k counter. Most of the time that is what you're going to be using him for, but versus a lot of decks, sometimes you can play him if someone has Active Dawn and just kind of wait, don't swing that turn, and you can swing the next turn, because if they're trying to use a counter spell that costs 1 or 2, they're always going to leave that open, just so that they have that option. So you just wouldn't swing there, then you'd play this guy, and then they can't use it anymore because he says he rests one of the Dawn cards when swinging. You do have to pay 1 Dawn though, but I think that's a small cost to not get hit by like a Red Hawk, especially in this deck, because we do run like lower cost blockers that would get destroyed by that card. And then so we also have the Nekomamashi. That's another true drop that we have. Like I was saying, this card is important, so sometimes you'll be going for game and they'll just play like, one of their 1-cost blockers. This is what this card is for. Sometimes if they are trying to search for cards and they have a blocker up, you can use this card as well to stop them from drawing more cards. So that's why Nekomamashi is really good. Plus he also has the counter 1 text at the side, so you can also drop him for 1 in case you're versus red and they're just trying to swing you down forever and you don't really need to be resting any of their cards. And then this card I feel like is very staple in this deck. We're also running this card at 4. This is the Blocker Killer. So this card, when you have 3 or more characters, you get to draw 1 card. Draw power in this deck is very powerful. So we run this card at 4 just so that we can draw, and just another block target, really good. So this is the only spell that I currently am, or not spell, but event card that we are using in the deck. It's Punk Gibson. +4 just really makes 8-cost Kid stick. It's pretty hard to kill him if we're using Punk Gibson here. And then sometimes players will overextend, they'll play a Zoro and then swing with their leader. You can activate this, rest that Zoro. Yeah, misplays like that are very common, and honestly I've seen people win games off of that all the time. So just the extra rest ability is really good, and then if it triggers in life, I mean, that's crazy. You can rest anything. That's just completely, that's bonkers. So we definitely run that at 4. And then this is actually the best blocker in the deck. It's Shachi. We're only running Shachi at 2 because we don't really ever want to play him for 3. I mean, sometimes in certain situations, if you're versus like a red Luffy deck and they play Shanks, we might want to play this for 3 just so that we can block that Shanks swing, because he is a 3-cost 4. So he's not going to be affected by Shanks's unblockable rush. And we can play him for free with 8-cost Kid, and that's why we run him at 2. So moving on. So I know a lot of people might not agree with this decision, but I actually run Okiku only at 3 because I use her to bait out like jet pistols, any type of removal. I'll use this card to bait that out, and if they don't get rid of it, I'll use it then. And it is a pretty crazy card, so most of the time I see this getting cleared immediately, and I get to play my Yamato, and then they don't have an answer for Yamato. So that's why we run this card. But if they do let it live, we're happy about that. We're not mad about that. So this is the other counter 2 card that I have in this deck. It's the Izo. Should have one more in here. There we go. So Izo is really strong, can rest the 4-cost. This card really helps in the blue matchup because they like to draw a lot as well, and they run a lot of blockers, so Izo kind of helps. And then she also has the counter 2 text, so that makes him very strong. So normally you're just keeping that in your hand for counter. You don't play it very often, but in the blue matchup, you can definitely use it to get over that annoying grindy match. So this is another one that, I hope everyone's playing it for, but Raizo is just, this card is insane. It just says you get to draw. Normally you just drop a searcher. You can play Raizo. Next turn, as long as your searcher's protected, you can keep, there's so many things in this deck that rest and you want them to be rested. And this card, you just get to draw an extra card every time. I've won matchups off of this card just not getting killed or not contested because they're just trying to contest my Yamato or something like that, and I just draw another Yamato. So this card is a definite 4 of. Just a really strong card. And then if you can't play him, he also still has that counter 1 text, and I think that's why he's just a very valuable card. So onto the main star of my deck. I don't run it as a 4 of because honestly 3 is more than enough to see the card, and I don't think it's a make or break addition to the deck, but it really does make it feel safer to just, if you are able to have your 8-cost Kid and like maybe 2 blockers in this card just decimates people. Like, they will block, they will do anything they can to destroy this card, so you end up being able to keep 8-cost Kid, which is just really strong. You want to be able to have nothing contesting the 8-cost Kid because it makes everyone swing at you for 8 instead of 5. So it makes it really impossible to build up a hand size against this green Kid deck. And right now, the meta is kind of all about resource management and hand size. So that's why this deck is so successful. But basically what Yamato does is it has a double attack. And when the attack goes through to life, it banishes those cards. So you're not taking those cards to your hand anymore, and they do not trigger. That is what the banish text does. It's a very broken ability, which is why most of the time when you're playing this deck, you're not wanting to play Yamato. You might even have 2 Yamato in your hand already, but you're not wanting to play it because most people have seen this card and have lost to it. So I think a lot of people try to play around it, but a lot of people also want to go for game very quickly. But if you use Raizo and your searches properly, you can build up hand size to fend off most of their attacks with this 8-cost Kid, which is another star of the deck. He is just absolutely crazy. It lets you rest him and play just any 3 cost. Normally, your best target for that's going to be Shachi, maybe an Okiku if you need it. Just a really good card. And on top of that, you're going to run 4 of this Law because he combos really well with the blocks, and he lets you save searchers. You basically just search with the card, play a 1 cost blocker. It's a very good combo when you have 8 cost kid on the field. And then on top of that, you just have a broken leader ability. I don't see how people can lose with this deck. This deck is just insane. I understand completely why it's topping. It really feels like you're just in control the entire time. And the only time that I feel like I do struggle is if maybe searchers whiff like all of my cards, because most of the cards in this deck are going to search out what you need, because it's just very balanced. There's a lot of Wano. So long story short, if you have Bonnie in your first hand and you don't have 8 cost kid, then you Bonnie. If you have Yamato in your hand and you have Bonnie, then you can use Bonnie there for... You're just trying to build up 8 cost kid and Yamato, maybe a Law in your hand, and then start building board from there. And it just feels really easy with this deck because it just has so much, so many blockers and so much counter. I mean, we're only running 8 counter 2s, and most decks run it at around 12, 14. So it just feels really good just because of how many blockers are in here. And blockers you don't really have to worry about countering for because you're just letting them go anyways. And then once this guy sticks to the board, they're just having to use their... Basically, they just waste their turn whenever this sticks to the board. And then you play whatever you want for free. And then you just start chipping away at whatever they have on their board. And it's GG from there. So yeah. Guys, it's gonna wrap up my green kit list, and we are still doing the giveaway, guys. We're still trying to figure out an exact date for that because we are a newer channel. We're trying to like build up just some more of a base so that we actually give away things to the community. So just if you like this video, just like the video, and the details for the giveaway, they'll all be inside the description. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.